Hi everyone, I am Lisa of We Crafty Crow. I am a certified Zentangle teacher, and today I'm going to teach you a Christmassy tangle that is deconstructed by Isabel Wallis, who is in Spain, I believe. I really like this tree because it's just a little bit different. It is triangular, but you can see obviously there are points that kind of go over and under other bits of the tangle, and it just looks a little bit different. This bit down here, these bits that kind of disappear off, that isn't actually in the tangle. Like Isabel has it so that they kind of stop around about here, but I just kind of went off the page with mine. I've also got this star up here is called Fünf, and that one was deconstructed by Denise, who is a certified Zentangle teacher. So I'm just going to come in just now and demonstrate Fünf first. If you were decorating your tree in reality, obviously your star would be the last thing that you would put down. But in this context, we're going to start with the star. So it's a V shape, but we're going to have the V so that this line points towards the corner of the tangle, and then we're going to make that into like a sort of a Y, and then put another 2 points halfway in the middle roughly. And then next step in Fünf is just to do an aura. So you could do this as a pointy aura or more of a curved aura the way that I'm doing it. I quite like the roundness of it. Just go for what you think. And then as you'll see, we're just adding an extra line in the centres here to create a pentagon shape. And then we have a slight line. It's not even really a line, it's more of a dot because it doesn't come out very far into that tile, into that tangle. So I'm going to just put my gold pen aside now, and I'm going to come in with my black pen. So the first stage in Chape is to come in with a sort of an upside down V shape, and then we put a slight curved line in here like so, and we repeat that step another twice. And going by the step outs, Isabel has it so that these roughly line up with one another. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then one last time. So the next step is to aura these lines here. We're going right from the edge here, and then leave the same amount of distance between here and here as you would between this side here. And I'm just going to taper that off as if that line is disappearing down the side. It's not quite how it was in the step out. The step out kind of stopped it just in mid-air. If you want to stop it where it is, then by all means you do that. And then once we've got that stage of it down, we're going to aura this line here, and then come down here, and mirror that. So what we want to do next is to form a curve that goes all the way out So we're extending this curve to meet as if it's going to join this line here. So you might need to extend those lines just a tad. Oops. And then we're going to aura that line. And then we're going to do the same thing here. So we're now, instead of this line, we're going to extend this one. So we want to meet this line up here. And do that on this side as well. So you can see, like, maybe my original lines weren't quite long enough, but that doesn't matter at all. So you're just extending those lines and then bring it up to underneath that star. So that is the basic shape that you have for Chape. So what I did next for this, you'll see here, I just created a simple bucket or pot, whatever you want to call it. So I just created a simple pair of parallel lines, and then I'm doing a V shape that's got two parallel curved lines here. Just extend those lines down, and then I'm going to do parallel curved lines that go in the opposite direction just to create a sense of depth. And now I'm going into this pot, another set of parallel lines, and I think in here I'm going to just do something really straightforward and simple and just put in some orbs, and the ones on the sides will likely just be incomplete as though they're disappearing off, and that's fine. So then we come into these spaces here, and it's up to you. I mean, you could actually cluster them if you want, like the way you normally would see jetties. But I kind of think you wouldn't have your Christmas tree baubles clustered together. So what I did when I was doing mine is to, you know, you might have seen Rick, one of the founders of Zentangle, Rick Roberts. He always kind of likes to fill the biggest orb that he can in that individual space. And then he works around that. If he's adding any other orbs, he'll kind of amend that accordingly. So that's all I'm doing. Creating the biggest orb that I can in the space that I have available. So that's really cute. I really like that. What I'm going to do now to just kind of make this a little bit different from the one that I drew previously is that I'm going to fill in the centres with colours. So I'm just going to do a couple of parallel lines here and then ink that in. I'll probably do a different thing on each of these individual baubles. think with this one, I'm going to have it so that the bauble is positioned this way. I'm going to do orbs in this one. This pen that I'm using is just a Papermate Ink Joy. It's not technically, you know, a kind of crafting pen or an artist pen. It's more for writing really, but I like the shade of it. I'm into, if you've seen my branding, you'll see that I love teals and purples, and so that just kind of complements the colour scheme that I like. So yes, I'm going to go for this one now. So it's just, there's nothing fancy in this at all. It's just taking time to slow yourself down. Make a moment for yourself. I think in this one I'm going to colour the bands between the centres and the outsides. And then over here. So these are pretty basic fillers that I'm adding in here. There's nothing really fancy at all about them. And I'm not even, you know, I could have, if I was being kind of symmetrical, I could have had it so that it was a purple bauble, then teal, and then purple, but, you know, maybe you might get an insight into how my tree is decorated. It's not really that organised, it's just random baubles here and there, but it still ends up looking nice in the end anyway. And this time I'm going to add some little lines along the centre of that. I think we'll have one more teal one. So then I'm going to go back to my black pen again, and I'm going to just make as big of an orb as I can in the space remaining in each of those areas next to the first orbs. Just black that in. This is quite good for creating a little bit of drama in your tile. I find that so relaxing, just finding where my space is going to be inked in, and then just taking the time to fill it all in. It used to be that I would be a bit impatient if I had a lot of spaces to be filled in. It almost felt a bit of a chore, but now I honestly love it. There's no, you might decide that some areas you're going to put a small orb at the top of, or the right or left, and the other spaces that you have might not have enough room for an orb. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be symmetrical in any way. It's just about the process. So just enjoy it and take your time. Or feel free, obviously, to put your own spin on this. You might fill this entirely differently from me. In fact, when I saw this tile online, I think Isabel just had it, the frame, if you want, if that's the right way to describe it, just the frame of the tree of Chape, and that in itself still looked effective. It was just that I decided to fill mine as though they were decorated. Go. I don't know if you can hear outside, if if my microphone will be picking it up. It's been very, very wet here today. But at least I'm inside. At least until I have to go and get my daughter from the childminder. Then I might have to worry about getting soaked. And the way I saw Chape online, Isabel had it so that it was exactly the way I have it here. There's nothing inside that Chape frame, but perhaps you could look into adding doodah or another kind of filler or orbs or something. There's various different ways that you could go about shading this, and I think that they would all look great. It's a really, really nice tangle. It's quite accessible. So I'm not going to do anything really overly fancy at all with shading. I'm going to just add a little bit of graphite where that star overlaps the Chape at the top. And I'm also going to add graphite at each of these bands, tops and bottoms of the jetties, baubles, whatever you want to call them. Any of the smaller orbs, I'm just putting a sort of smiley face shape on them. You might have decided to put, each of your baubles might have the exact same colour and or the exact same filler inside, and that could look really cool. So many possibilities. So I'm going to do that there, and then also where we've got that frame on the outside overlapping, I'm just going to go around all the edges here and just kind of add a sense of shadow. I'm not going to go over where the black is. There's not much point in doing that. And you might decide that your baubles would be coming out. You might think that the sides of your baubles wouldn't be in shade, and that's absolutely fine if that's the way that you would like to approach yours. But I'm just going to work with a bit of shading here and see how that looks. It's basically anywhere that there's an overlap. Just taking your time, there's absolutely no hurry. And also kind of check in with yourself to see how you're feeling in terms of, like, you know, your hand. Is your hand gripping onto your pen too tightly? Just be aware that we can feel tension in our bodies without actually even noticing it. I'm just going to go around here. I'm not going to put any graphite on the underneath bits, but I am going to put it on all of the sides, and it just depends on individual people whether or not you would like to add shade to different areas or not. I'm just picking up my blending stump now, and then some areas, if I haven't added the actual graphite line to, it won't really matter because I'll have enough graphite on the blending stump anyway, so it'll still add that shadow for me. You could obviously add some green into this as well for the tree itself, just for a bit of, I don't know if realism is the right word, but, you know, just to kind of add to the effect of the fact that it's a tree, or it's representative of a tree. So I think that looks really cool. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of pencil on the inside of this pot here to create an illusion of some depth. And I'm going to go in tops and bottoms of these orbs on the plant pot as well. And then add another grin shape. And then maybe we have a bit of shadow from that tree as well. So there we have it. It's quite a simple, quick video. I think perhaps I'll go away and take my time over this and do this again. I might kind of decorate the tree differently, maybe use different tangles or different fillers in it. But I do like the Fünf was completely separate from the rest. You could actually, obviously, I might add some shade in here as well. just maybe in a couple of the bits here, just so that it's not quite so plain looking. If you had some metallic colour pencils, they might actually be really good to use there. So yeah, it's just fun. So this is Fünf by Denise Rudd, certified Zentangle teacher. The tree is Chape, and that is by Isabel Wallis. And then Jetties is a Zentangle original tangle. Really, really nice. Just nice and simple. Because I was looking at different ways of doing Christmas trees for Zentangle, and I just wanted to do something a little bit different. I can't take the credit for the idea. Obviously, it was Isabel's idea, deconstruction, but it's really, really nice, and it's fun to play around with different variations of how you can fill in those individual spaces. So I hope you have fun if you play around with this one yourself. Let me see what you come up with if you play with this one yourself. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already, just so that you don't miss any of my future Tangle lessons that I put out. I usually put a Tangle lesson out on YouTube on a Wednesday morning UK time. So yeah, watch out for future videos coming out. And thanks again for watching, and I'll hopefully see you again soon. Bye!